Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show.
Hello, hello. So happy to have you here with us today.
Alice, I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of an animal called the saiga?
The saiga? Is that some kind of fish? Or maybe a bird?
Nope, it's an antelope. And honestly, it's one of the strangest looking animals in the world.
Strange looking. Now I'm curious. What makes it so strange?
Well, it has this big bulbous nose that looks a bit like a small trunk. Some people say it looks like a cartoon animal.
A cartoon animal with a trunk nose? Okay, you have my attention.
Today's reading passage is all about the saiga, where it lives, what threatens it, and how people are trying to save it. Perfect for practicing our reading skills.
Ooh, saving the saiga. Just from the title, I'm already guessing this is going to be a story about an animal in danger, right? And maybe there's some good news at the end? Like a happy ending?
Great guess. It could also be about what people are doing to help, like conservation projects. Maybe there's a real team of scientists working to save them.
I love a good rescue story, and I bet there's a sad part in the middle, like the animal almost disappears, and then people step in to help.
You're already thinking like a reader. Let's dive in and see if your predictions are right.
And here's what's coming up. In Part 1, we read the passage together. In Part 2, we learn some key skills. Part 3 is a quick review. And in Part 4, we practice with real exam-style questions.
Let's get started. Okay, welcome to Part 1. This is our reading passage. The title is Saving the Saiga.
Don't worry if you don't know the word saiga. We will explain everything as we go. Just relax and listen.
I will read each paragraph slowly. After each paragraph, Alice will explain the main idea in simple English. Then we move on.
Think of it like watching a nature documentary, but for your ears. Ready? Let's read.
The saiga, a species of antelope native to Central Asia, once roamed the vast grasslands of this region in enormous herds, many millions strong. Regrettably, such spectacular sights are a thing of the past. Today, the saiga is largely confined to a single country, Kazakhstan. This country is estimated to be home to well over 90% of the global saiga population, with Russia, Mongolia, and Uzbekistan accounting for the rest.
Okay, let me explain that in simple English. The saiga is a type of antelope. That's a wild animal with long legs and horns. A long time ago, millions of saiga lived on the grasslands of Central Asia. But now, things are very different. Most saiga, over 90%, live in just one country, Kazakhstan.
One important word, confined. Confined means limited to one place. So the saiga is now confined to Kazakhstan. It's mostly only found there now.
Confined, limited to one place. Say it with me, confined. You know, it's funny. I always thought antelopes only lived in Africa, like in the savannah. I had no idea there were antelopes in Central Asia, too.
Right? The saiga is a very special animal. Anyway, let's keep going. The saiga is perfectly adapted to the tough conditions of the remote wilderness of the steppes of Central Asia. One such adaptation is its bizarre bulbous nose, which enables the animal to survive the extreme seasonal temperature swings of the region. The swollen nostrils of the nose serve several purposes. They filter out dust and cool the blood during hot, dry summers, and they warm the cold air before it enters the saiga's lungs in winter. Other seasonal adaptations include a heavy winter coat that the saiga sheds when the weather warms up.
Great. Paragraph B is about the saiga's amazing body, its adaptations. Adaptation means a special feature that helps an animal survive in its environment. The saiga's weird nose is actually super useful. In summer, it cools the blood. In winter, it warms the air before it goes into the lungs. And the saiga also grows a heavy coat in winter, and then it loses it when the weather gets warm.
2 words to notice. Bizarre means very strange or unusual, and shed means to naturally lose something, like when a dog sheds its fur in summer.
So the saiga basically has a built-in air conditioner in its nose. That's amazing. Quick recap before we move on. Paragraph A was about where the saiga lives now, mostly Kazakhstan. Paragraph B was about its amazing body, the nose and the coat. Good stuff so far.
Despite these superb adaptations to harsh conditions, the saiga has no defense against the threats posed by humans. It was almost driven to extinction by hunters in the 19th century. Legal protection ensured its survival for a while, and numbers steadily recovered throughout most of the 20th century. But the respite was only temporary. In the 10 years following the breakup of the former Soviet Union in 1991, over 95% of the global population was lost, one of the fastest examples of species loss ever recorded for a mammal.
Okay, this paragraph is about danger. The saiga has a great body for surviving nature, but it cannot survive humans. In the 1800s, hunters almost killed them all. Then, for a while, the numbers went back up. But after 1991, something terrible happened. Over 95% of the saiga disappeared in just 10 years. That's incredibly fast.
2 words to notice. Extinction means when a species completely disappears from the earth, and respite means a short period of rest or relief.
Quick question for you. No pressure, just have a think. Why did the saiga population crash after 1991? We'll find out in the next paragraph, but if you guessed something about humans, you're probably right.
The dramatic decline during this decade was due to illegal poaching on an industrial scale. Male saiga are a particular target because their horns are highly prized by traditional medicine practitioners. Poaching reached epidemic levels after misguided conservationists tried to relieve the pressure on threatened African rhinos by actively encouraging the use of saiga horns in traditional medicine as an alternative to those of rhinos. Male saiga were almost wiped out, leading to a population crash from which the species has been struggling to recover ever since.
So here's the answer. The saiga almost disappeared because of poaching. That means illegal hunting. People wanted the male saiga's horns for traditional medicine. And here's the sad twist. Some people who were trying to protect African rhinos actually encouraged people to use saiga horns instead of rhino horns. But that just made things worse for the saiga.
Poaching is a key word. It means hunting animals illegally. And misguided means having the wrong idea, even if you mean well.
It's so sad that a well-meaning idea caused so much damage. The saiga is still struggling to recover from that.
Another threat to the survival of the saiga is loss of habitat as a result of agricultural expansion and human settlement. Physical barriers such as railways, pipelines, and fences can block the seasonal migration routes of this transboundary species. In the worst cases, herds may starve to death after being trapped.
Okay, so the next problem is about homes and paths. The saiga is losing its habitat. That's its natural home. Farms and cities are taking over the land. Also, things like railways and fences block the routes the saiga uses to travel between places. If they get trapped, they can't find food, and they may starve.
Habitat means the natural home of an animal, and migration means traveling from one place to another, usually with the seasons.
It's like if someone built a wall right in the middle of your daily walking route. You couldn't get to the supermarket anymore.
Then there is the risk of disease. In 2015, an outbreak of hemorrhagic septicemia caused by the normally harmless bacterium Pastorella multicida killed over 75% of the global adult saiga population in just 3 weeks. In 2017, 60% of the Mongolian saiga population, a subspecies found nowhere else in the world, was killed by a virus that spilled over from livestock. These so-called mass mortality events represent an unpredictable and serious threat to the species.
Okay, this paragraph is about disease, and it's quite dramatic. In 2015, a disease killed over 75% of the world's adult saiga in just 3 weeks. 3 weeks? That's incredibly fast. And in 2017, another disease killed 60% of the saiga in Mongolia. These are called mass mortality events. That just means a huge number of animals dying at the same time.
Mortality means death, so a mass mortality event is when many animals die together. And livestock means farm animals, like cows or sheep.
75% in 3 weeks. That's so fast. No wonder the saiga is in trouble.
Climate change poses a further threat. Although well adapted to cold winters and hot summers, saiga struggle to cope with temperature extremes and unpredictable fluctuations in climate. Experts believe that unusually warm weather may have triggered the 2015 mass mortality event. The steppe region has also become increasingly arid in recent years, and many of the smaller streams that the species normally depended on have dried up and vanished.
And now the last problem, climate change. The saiga is good at handling normal hot and cold weather, but when the weather changes in unusual ways, the saiga struggles. Scientists think warm weather may have caused the 2015 disease event. Also, the land is getting drier and small streams are disappearing. The saiga needs those streams for water.
2 words to notice. Arid means very dry, and fluctuations means changes, up and down, back and forth.
So climate change is like an extra problem on top of all the others. Poor saiga.
Recent efforts to save the saiga have been spearheaded by the Altan Dala Conservation Initiative, a project led by the Association for the Conservation of Biodiversity of Kazakhstan, working in partnership with the Kazakh government's Committee for Forestry and Wildlife, Frankfurt Zoological Society, and Fauna and Flora, an international conservation charity. Its purpose is to protect and restore Kazakhstan's steppe, semi-desert, and desert ecosystems and the many species they support, including the critically endangered saiga. In 2022, the United Nations recognized the initiative as a World Restoration Flagship Project, an accolade reserved for the 10 best examples of large-scale ecosystem restoration around the globe.
Okay, now we get some good news. A big project called the Altan Dala Conservation Initiative is working to save the saiga. It's a partnership, different groups working together. Their goal is to protect the whole ecosystem. That's the environment with all its plants and animals, not just the saiga. And in 2022, the United Nations gave them a special award. That's a huge honor.
Conservation means protecting nature and wildlife, and initiative means a new plan or project.
Finally, some good news for the saiga.
So, how many saiga are there now? By 2000, the global saiga population had hit an all-time low of just 21,000 individuals. There was some recovery in the first decade of the new millennium, but this was then crushed by devastating mass mortality events that saw the loss of hundreds of thousands of the species. But thanks to the intervention of the Altan Dala Conservation Initiative, the most recent episodes in the ongoing story of the saiga have been relatively uplifting. 3 years ago, the Ustyurt Plateau population in Kazakhstan experienced its largest mass birth of saiga calves in many years. An aerial census 2 years ago recorded an estimated 842,000 saiga across Kazakhstan as a whole, and according to an aerial survey earlier this year, the saiga population in Kazakhstan now exceeds 1.9 million. The world's strangest-looking antelope remains critically endangered, but the direction of travel is positive.
And here's the happy ending. Well, a hopeful ending. In the year 2000, there were only 21,000 saiga left. That's really low. But now, thanks to the conservation project, the numbers are going up. 2 years ago, there were over 800,000 saiga, and now there are over 1.9 million. The saiga is still in danger. It's still critically endangered, but things are moving in the right direction.
Intervention means stepping in to help, and endangered means a species that is at risk of disappearing.
From 21,000 to 1.9 million. That's an amazing recovery story.
Okay, that's the full passage, 9 paragraphs. Let's quickly remember the structure, in case your mind wandered.
Paragraph A, where the saiga lives now. So, that was our reading passage. How did you feel? Did you catch most of it?
If you didn't catch everything, that's completely normal. The goal was never to understand every single word. The goal was just to get the general shape of each paragraph.
Home, body, hunting, habitat, disease, climate, rescue. If you remember those 7 words, you've already done something very useful.
And now, we're going to learn some key skills that help you handle questions about any passage like this. Let's go to part 2. Welcome to part 2. This is where we build our skills.
Today, we're focusing on the skills you need for 2 question types, note completion and true, false, not given.
Let's begin with skill 1.
Okay, skill number 1, David.
Skill number 1. Skim the whole passage first before you read carefully.
Skim. You mean read it fast?
Yes, very fast. Don't stop for difficult words. Just get the general idea of each paragraph.
So for our Saiga passage, what's the general idea?
The first paragraphs are about the Saiga and its body. Then we learn about the problems: hunting, habitat loss, disease, climate change, and the last paragraphs are about the rescue efforts.
So it's basically introduction, problems, solutions. That's the shape.
Exactly. And once you know that shape, finding answers becomes much faster.
Why does that help so much?
Because when a question asks about a problem, you already know that's probably in the middle of the passage. You don't need to search the whole text.
That makes a lot of sense. I always used to read the whole thing first. No more.
Here's a tip. When you skim, only read the first sentence of each paragraph. That sentence usually tells you what the paragraph is about.
Say this with me. Skim first.
Skill number 2. Always read the questions first before you scan for answers.
Wait, isn't that obvious?
You'd think so, but many students start reading the passage in detail before they even know what they're looking for.
Ah, so they waste time reading things they don't need.
Exactly. If the question asks about adaptations, you already know which paragraphs to look at. Paragraph B.
So the question guides the reading, not the other way around.
Perfectly said. The question is your map. Read the map before you start walking.
The question is your map. Say it with me. The question is your map. Okay, skill 3.
Scan for key words. Don't read every word. Let your eyes jump to the important ones.
What counts as a key word?
Names, numbers, dates, and unusual words. For example, in our passage, Kazakhstan, 1991, 2015, horns.
So if a question asks about numbers, I just scan for digits?
Exactly. Your eyes move down the page quickly, like a camera, looking for the important things.
Like a camera. My eyes are a camera. I love that.
Numbers and dates are always easy to spot. If a question mentions 1991, your eyes will find it very quickly.
All right, quick pit stop. So far, we've got skim first, questions are your map, and now eyes like a camera for keywords. 3 down, more to go.
Skill 4 is a really useful one. Watch for paraphrasing.
What do you mean by paraphrasing?
The question will almost never use the exact same words as the passage. It will use synonyms instead.
Can you give me an example from our Saiga passage?
Sure. The passage says, the Saiga is largely confined to Kazakhstan. A question might say, today, Saiga live mostly in one country.
Ah, confined becomes live mostly, and Kazakhstan becomes one country.
Exactly. Same meaning, different words.
That sounds hard.
It gets easier with practice, honestly. The skill is simply don't look for the same words, look for the same meaning.
Say that again, David. I want to remember it.
Don't look for the same words, look for the same meaning.
Don't look for the same words, look for the same meaning. Say it with me. Skill 5.
Find the topic sentence. Usually, the first sentence of a paragraph tells you what the whole paragraph is about.
So in paragraph D, the first sentence says, the dramatic decline during this decade was due to illegal poaching.
Right. So immediately, you know, this paragraph is about poaching, illegal hunting.
So I don't need to read the whole paragraph carefully unless the question is about poaching.
Exactly right. The topic sentence is like a sign on a door. It tells you what is inside before you open the door.
Let's practice. Listen to this first sentence. What is the paragraph about?
Climate change poses a further threat.
That's paragraph G. It's about climate change as a threat. Did you get it right?
Skill 6 is the one that trips learners up the most, but it's really just a small logic puzzle. True, false, not given questions.
Oh no, I always get confused with not given.
Everyone does it first. Here's the key difference. True means the passage says the same thing as the statement.
So not given does not mean false. It just means
The passage is silent. No information. Exactly. The passage is silent. Say it with me. The passage is silent. And here's a little trick this question type likes to play. Sometimes the statement says all or always, but the passage only talks about some. That's usually a false. The statement went too far.
ooh, so watch out for words like all, every, always, never. Good tip.
Okay, let me test you. Here's a statement. The saiga is found in every country in Central Asia.
The passage says the saiga is mostly found in Kazakhstan, over 90%. It doesn't say it's in every country. So that's false because the passage says the opposite?
Correct. Now try this one. The saiga has a very strong sense of smell.
The passage talks about the saiga's nose, but it talks about temperature control, not smell. It never mentions sense of smell at all. So the answer is not given. The passage is silent about smell.
Perfect. You just used skill 6 correctly.
Skill 7?
Manage your time. If one question is taking too long, skip it and come back later.
But isn't it bad to leave a question unanswered?
It's worse to spend 5 minutes on one hard question and lose time for 5 easy ones.
Oh, so one hard question can cost you many easy points.
Exactly. Always guess something, mark it, and move on. You can come back at the end if you have time.
A good rule of thumb, roughly 1.5 minutes per question. If you're still stuck after that, move on and come back later.
And our last skill, skill 8, guess unknown words from context. You will never know every word, and that is completely normal.
Oh, that is so good to hear.
For example, imagine you don't know the word arid in paragraph G, but the sentence talks about streams drying up and vanishing, so you can guess arid must mean dry.
So I don't need the exact definition. I just need enough to understand the main idea.
Exactly. Context is the words around the unknown word. Use those words as clues.
Say this with me. Use context clues.
And that's skill 8, and all 8 skills done.
Wow, 8 skills. That was a lot, but I feel much more confident now.
You should. These are real, practical skills that every good IELTS reader uses.
And the important thing is, these skills work together. Skim, read the questions, scan for keywords, watch for paraphrasing, topic sentence, true, false, not given, time management, context clues. They are a team.
All 8 working together. Let's go review them quickly.
Before we move on to part 3, David, where can students practice these reading logic skills?
Definitely check out IELTSlogic.com. It offers full reading passage breakdowns, listening practice, and speaking logic chain training.
That's awesome. Built by system architects to sharpen your analytical thinking. Visit IELTSlogic.com today.
Welcome to part 3. Quick review, no pressure. Just a fun recap. I'm going to quiz you, Alice, and everyone listening can play along too.
Ooh, a quiz. I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay, Alice, skill 1. What do we do first when we get a reading passage?
Read every word very carefully?
No, that's the opposite. Skim first. Get the big picture.
Right. Skim first. I knew that.
Skill 2. What do we do after skimming?
Read the questions. The question is my map.
Exactly. Now, skill 3. How do we find information quickly?
We scan for keywords, names, numbers, dates. My eyes are a camera.
Nice. Skill 4. What's the big trap in most questions?
Paraphrasing? The questions use different words than the passage?
Exactly. Don't look for the same words, look for the same meaning. Skill 5. What does the topic sentence tell us?
What the paragraph is about, like a sign on a door.
Great. Skill 6, the tricky one. What's the difference between false and not given?
False means the passage says the opposite. Not given means the passage is silent. It doesn't mention it at all.
Perfect. Skill 7?
Manage your time. Don't get stuck on one question. Move on and come back.
And skill 8?
Guess unknown words from context. Use the words around them as clues.
8 for 8. Well, almost. You did try to read every word at the start.
That one doesn't count. I was warming up.
Now, if you got most of those right, you're in great shape. If you missed a few, no worries. That's what practice is for.
However you did, that is genuine progress. 8 skills reviewed, quickly and clearly.
Remember, you don't need to memorize the names. You need to do them. Skills are actions, not words. Alice, a quick reminder for our listeners before we head into part 4.
Yes, for complete reading sentence analysis, synonym replacements, and solution pathways, head over to IELTSlogic.com. It's designed by IELTS experts to help you build clear logic. Check out IELTSlogic.com and boost your score.
Now, the most important part, putting the skills into action. Let's go to part 4. Welcome to part 4, practice time. We're going to use our passage about the saiga. Remember the one about the strange antelope with the big nose? And I'll ask you real exam-style questions.
Try to answer before we give you the answer if you can. Say it out loud if you like. No pressure though, just listening carefully works too.
After each question, we pause. Then we go back to the passage, look at the exact line, and explain the answer.
We have 13 questions today. The first 7 are note completion. You fill in one word. The last 6 are true, false, not given. Let's start.
Question 1. Complete the notes. The saiga has a large bulbous nose with swollen nostrils that keep what out?
Let's go back to paragraph B. The passage says, the swollen nostrils of the nose serve several purposes. They filter out dust and cool the blood during hot, dry summers. So the answer is dust, D-U-S-T. The nostrils filter out.
Welcome to part 4, practice time. We're going to use our passage about the saiga. Remember the one about the strange antelope with the big nose? And I'll ask you real exam-style questions.
Try to answer before we give you the answer if you can. Say it out loud if you like. No pressure though, just listening carefully works too.
After each question, we pause. Then we go back to the passage, look at the exact line, and explain the answer.
We have 13 questions today. The first 7 are note completion. You fill in one word. The last 6 are true, false, not given. Let's start.
Question 1. Complete the notes. The saiga has a large bulbous nose with swollen nostrils that keep what out?
Let's go back to paragraph B. The passage says, the swollen nostrils of the nose serve several purposes. They filter out dust and cool the blood during hot, dry summers. So the answer is dust, D-U-S-T. The nostrils filter out dust. That's our scanning skill. We looked for filter out and found the answer right after it.
Question 2. The nostrils also lower the temperature of its what in summer?
Same sentence in paragraph B. They filter out dust and cool the blood during hot, dry summers. So the answer is blood, B-L-O-O-D. The nostrils cool the blood.